Hi fashion lovers, welcome back to the channel. In this video I will be showing you how I made this butt contoured straight skirt. It is super easy to make and comfortable. I paired mine with an organza top. If you would like to learn how I made the top, tell me in the comment section and I will send you the tutorial right away. Please do well to like this video, subscribe to my channel and drop me nice comments. Now let's dive into the tutorial. For the skirt I have already marked the waistline, the waist to hip line. My waist to hip line is 8.5, so you have to mark yours, okay? And then the full length of the skirt, all right? So I'll come to the waistline now and mark my nipple to nipple width divided by 2, and my nipple to nipple width is 7.5 divided by 2 will give me 3.75. So I'm going to mark it on the waistline as well as the hip line. And this is the dart line. On each side of the dart line, I'm going to take ½ inch, okay, for the dart intake. Then I'm going to connect it to 1 inch up above the hip line, all right? I'm going to also mark the dart line at the back, right? Then I'm going to take ½ inch on each side of the dart line, okay? And then connect to 1 inch up above the hip line for the back. So this is the front block and the back block. So I'm going to go ahead now and mark my waist circumference divided by 4 on the waistline, okay? My waist is 28. When I divide by 4, I have 7. Then I'll replace this dart intake of 1 inch, okay? Then I'll come to the hip line and mark my hip circumference divided by 4. My hip is 40. When I divide by 4, I have 10. Then I'll connect the 2 points, okay, from the waist to the hip. Then I'll mark my knee length, okay. Sorry, I didn't mark my knee length. So I'm going to go ahead now and mark my knee length. My knee length is 18 inches. So I'll mark my knee length. I'll also mark it for the back. So this is the knee line. I'm going to come to the knee line and mark my hip circumference divided by 4, okay? But I'm going to be taking 1 inch to make the skirt a pencil skirt. You can take up to 1.5. Then I'll take this measurement down to the hemline. So that means I have 9 inches here because I've taken 1 inch out from my hip measurement. So I'm going to take that 9 inches down to the hemline, okay? Then you have to blend the points. Then I'll come to the back and also mark the waist circumference divided by 4 at the waistline, okay? And I'll replace the dart intake of 1 inch. I will come to the hip line and mark the hip circumference divided by 4. And I'll connect the 2 points from the waistline to the hip line. Then I'll come to the knee line and mark my hip circumference divided by 4. Okay, I'm going to be taking out 1 inch just like I have done for the front, okay, for the pencil look. Then I'll connect. I'll take this knee measurement down to the hemline. I'll come to the waistline and raise the side up by ½ inch, okay? And I'll come to the center front and come down by 0.75, okay? And I'll connect like so. Then I'll come to the back and raise the side up by ½ inch, just like I have done for the front, okay? And I'll come to the middle of the back and take out 0.75 for my zipper. I want my zipper to lay flat at my back, okay? Then I'll connect to the hip line. Then from that point, I'll connect to the ½ inch by the side, okay? So this is what we have now. This is your basic skirt block, okay? So I want to contour the back, all right? I'll come to the back and mark my waist to under butt. To get your waist to under butt measurement, just place your tape from your waist to under your butt, okay? For mine is 14 inches. So this is it. I have 14 inches for mine, okay? So I'll come on that line. For the back, I am doing the butt contouring only at the back. I'll come to the butt line and mark 1 inch. Please, you have to measure your own butt line, okay? I'll connect from that point to the hip line like so. Then I'm going to take this 1 inch down to the hemline, all right? So I'm going to go ahead now and cut out my pattern. I'll start by closing up the waist darts because I don't want to sew my waist darts down. When you close up the waist darts, you notice that this line is no longer the way it should. So you have to go ahead and redraw the line. Close the back dart as well. And you have to redraw the line. Then I'll go ahead now and cut out the skirt block, okay? So this is the front block. Let me cut out the back block. So I'm going to place my pattern on my fabric and add all the necessary allowances. I'll add 1.5 side seam allowance, ½ inch for the waist. Okay, so this is the skirt pattern after placing on my fabric to add the necessary allowances. I added 1.5 side seam allowance, then ½ inch for the joining of the waistline, okay? And the front is on fold, okay? You can notice that the front block is on fold. All right, you have to place the front block on fold. Then for the back block, I have also added 1.5 side seam allowance. If you want, you can add more than 1.5 side seam allowance, okay? For the waistline, I added ½ inch joining seam allowance at the waistline, okay? Then 0.75 zipper allowance at the middle of the back. And I also had to cut lining piece for the skirt, all right? You can see that I had to take off the 2 inches hemming allowance on the lining piece, okay? So I'm going to start by taking off the pins and the pattern paper. I'll stitch from the hip line or 1 inch below the hip line, and when I get to the knee line, I'm going to stop, okay? Because I will have slits from here to the hem, all right? So I'll go ahead and stitch now till I get here, all right? Then I'll also fix the zipper at the middle of the back, all right? So this is what the skirt looks like after installing the zipper, okay? You can see that I have already installed the zipper at the back. So what I'm going to do now is to go over to my sewing machine and turn the fabric with the lining pieces, okay? So for the front, I'll bring the lining piece from the hemline and then stitch. For the front, I'll stitch on the hemline and also stitch at the waistline to join the fabric and the lining together. And for the back, I will also do the same thing. I'll stitch on the hemline and the waistline, okay? So this is the back block after joining the lining piece, okay? So I went ahead to stitch on the hemline. I dragged it up to stitch the waistline. And this is the zipper area. I had to stitch on the zipper area. That is the slits as well on both sides of the back, okay? So this is the other side. So let me flip to the right side and show you what it looks like from the right side. So this is it from the right side. So this is the zipper area. You can see that I did not stitch the sides. And for the front, this is the front. I also stitched the waistline as well as the hemline, okay? So if I should turn to the right side, so this is it. You can also notice that I did not stitch the sides. So So I'm going to go ahead now and give it a very good press. Okay, so this is what it looks like after pressing on the skirt block. Okay, the front and the back. So what you're going to do now is to join the skirt by the side. I'm going to pin the fabric with right sides facing each other. Okay, I'll pin. Before that, I'll have to mark my size seam allowance both on my fabric and the lining. As you can see, I have already marked the 1.5 size seam allowance, okay, on my fabric as well as on the lining piece. So I'll mark on the other side as well. So I'll connect. So now I'm going to go ahead and pin the fabrics together, okay, with the right sides facing each other. I'll pin the main fabric to the main fabric. I have to make sure that the waist joining align, okay. Pin it down to the hemline, okay. After pinning the main fabric, I'll also pin the lining piece. Let me turn everything to the wrong side so that I can see what I am pinning. So I'll pin the lining piece. Then I'll pin the other side as well. The main fabric to the main fabric and the lining piece to the lining piece with the right sides facing each other. I'm going to leave a space on the lining piece where I'll flip it over from. Alright, so I'll leave like 6 inches space where I'll flip everything over from. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my sewing machine now and stitch on the markings, right? So I'm going to stitch on the other side as well. Remember that I said on the lining I'm going to leave a space here where I'll flip the entire fabric out from. So I'll leave a space here on the lining and then continue. So this is what it looks like. You can go ahead and press the seam lines open, okay? This is what the skirt looks like after pressing the seam lines open. So remember that I left a space on the lining where I'll flip it over from. So I'm going to go ahead now and flip everything over from that point that I left open. So this is what it looks like. You can see this is the opening. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the opening. All right, you can see how neat it looks. I will go ahead now and iron the skirts, and that's it, my people. Don't forget to hit on the subscribe button if you have not subscribed. Turn on your notification bell so that anytime I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified. See you in the next one.